Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Ben's MicroVision podcast, a podcast for entertainment and general information purposes only, not a financial advice podcast. I've prepared a very special episode for you today that I hope you will enjoy. It's a episode that has a deep personal resonance for me for reasons that I'll get into a little later on. But we will begin with some discussion of Meta and their recent $3.5 billion investment into EssilorLuxottica, which is the world's #1 eyewear company. So let's take a look at why Meta made such a large investment and kind of where they are strategically with what they're doing in the eyewear market. Okay. Meta and EssilorLuxottica. Zuckerberg bought something like 3% of the company, and he did that for some very good and specific reasons that we're going to talk about. Meta needs to own the next platform. If you think about it, they are essentially gatekept by both Apple and Google in smartphones. There was a deal recently where Apple changed their user tracking method, and it cost Meta something like $10 billion because Apple was trying to be all about user privacy. And of course, user privacy is not really compatible with Meta's business model, and so that hurt them. And so they're kind of gatekept on mobile phones, and so they need to own the next platform. If they own the next platform, a lot of benefits will accrue to them, which we're going to talk about. Okay, if they have control over the platform, they have control over their future and their business. If they were strategically independent of both Apple and Google, they wouldn't have to pay fees for the App Store. They wouldn't have to be compliant or compatible with any requirements that Apple or Google might put on them. They would have access to the data at the device level, including all the sensor data and activity about what's happening, on the device. And they'd be free to design their own user experience at the most granular and detailed level. What's been clear is that Meta has established a vision where it's about spatial computing, and they imagine it about AR glasses, VR headsets, and eventually ambient computing. But for now, let's talk about AR glasses. Since AR glasses market doesn't yet exist, Meta's job is to build it, lead it, own it, and make it happen. So they cannot be reliant on another company to define what this paradigm looks like, and they've got to go out and blaze the trail themselves. All of Meta's revenue comes from advertising on other people's platforms. So by owning the hardware, Meta gets to diversify by selling the devices, getting whatever revenue they could get as an App Store ecosystem provider, and as well serving the ads. They could monetize things in the future that they can't monetize today due to their dependence on Apple and Google as the platform providers. If they provide specialized hardware, they can enable new experiences that don't exist today. To do that, they have to integrate hardware and software at a very low level. So that means custom silicon chips, advanced display technology, very low latency tracking of the user and what they're looking at and what they're doing. You can't really buy that off the shelf, so they have to own the stack down at the chip level to optimize the entire device and experience. Likewise, they can create a developer ecosystem that's on par with what Apple and Google have produced for their app stores. and they can position their own operating system as the foundational layer for AR, VR content. These are all really good and important things for them to be doing. Okay, as we talked about in episode 3 of my podcast, laser scanning is Meta's target display architecture. And the principal reason for that is that it's much more efficient from a power and energy standpoint to use laser scanning displays instead of micro LEDs or LCOS. So, that's what they need to do. Let's talk about the prescription eyewear market. Okay, the prescription eyewear market is huge. The majority of the population, at least in the U.S., uses vision correction, about 200 million people, and 164 million of those 200 million wear prescription eyeglasses. So this is the majority of people over age 40, certainly. It's anybody as they get older generally tends to go in that direction where you need prescription eyeglasses. So here's Meta. They need to own the platform of the future. The platform of the future apparently is augmented reality fashion eyewear. Everybody needs prescription lenses. So what do? If you're Meta, you partner with the number one biggest eyewear company in the world, which is EssilorLuxottica. They are number one at manufacturing eyewear frames. They are number one at manufacturing optical lenses and prescription lenses. They are number one with the footprint for retail distribution and point of purchase for prescription glasses and sunglasses. And they have brand dominance like you wouldn't believe. Oakley, Ray-Ban, DKNY, every brand you've ever heard of, all the fashion houses license their brands to Essilor on a basis that allows them to have exclusivity. So this is not just any company. This is the company for prescription eyewear glasses. Essilor has been working on a waveguide encapsulation technology. And this is something that they have numerous patents on. And essentially what their concept is to seamlessly integrate the augmented reality optics within the vision correction lens. So in this way, the waveguide optic is embedded inside the lens, and the lens curvature provides the prescription vision correction. So you've got one piece that does the display and the prescription all together. All right. When was the last time you bought a rock album? How about today? If you go to midnightlands.bandcamp.com, you can buy my new album for as little as $0 if you don't want to pay anything. Or you can pay whatever you want. The album is great. It is a labor of love for me and my brother Mike over the course of a couple of years. And I really think you will enjoy it. If you just want to take it for free, that's totally cool. You can do that. So midnightlands.bandcamp.com. Check it out. Okay. So once again, here's Meta. They're making this huge investment into EssilorLuxottica. And if you think about what this probably does, is it probably locks out Google or Apple from performing a similar investment and forming a similar partnership. Meta has locked in the number one most powerful eyewear company by a mile to support their advancement in AR eyewear glasses. Highly strategic move that probably was extremely smart, just like buying Instagram for $1 billion was certainly extremely smart. And even if people might have laughed about it when it happened, they're not laughing now. It was extremely smart. Okay. Enter MicroVision. MicroVision has a MEMS-based laser scanning projector that's extremely small. It's designed for integration into thin temple arms, and we've seen their design in their video that they published back about 4 or 5 years ago. This design combines their custom electronics with their custom MEMS with red, green, and blue lasers to project the image in a very tiny form factor. This is going to draw less heat, which was the number one thing that drove Meta to declare that laser scanning was a target architecture back in the previous slide, and we talked about that a lot in episode 3. Laser scanning isn't just desirable for the low power. It's also desirable because of the narrow collimated beam that lets you inject the light into the prescription encapsulated waveguide with very high accuracy and specificity. You don't need to expand the beam size. You don't need to introduce a bunch of optics that might make the system bulkier. It's just a very narrow laser beam shooting into the waveguide, which is also itself encapsulated in the prescription lens. So this is perfect for lens-embedded waveguides where the depth of focus engineering is difficult, and you can very cleverly draw the laser line in whatever way you want with a software design. So you could introduce a distortion that would be intended to be corrected by the lens all in software without having to put optics in front of it or anything. So this is, pretty awesome stuff. MicroVision has patents on gaze-driven laser beam scanning projection. So what that means is you can render the images based on where the user's looking, and you can accommodate for the divergence accommodation correction inside of the software that's driving the scanner. So when people have complained that the IVAS displays leave the soldier feeling nauseous, that is because of what's called divergence accommodation problems. And the divergence accommodation has to do with the angle of your eyes relative to you're seeing one thing here and you're seeing another thing at another focal depth, and you can't resolve it, and so you feel sick to your stomach. So MicroVision has a solution for that that's based on understanding what the user's looking at and where their eyes are, and then driving the scanner at a different way to accommodate for that. So there's synergy there between the MicroVision gaze-driven solution and the Meta's eye tracking and Essilor's lenses that are designed to reduce visual fatigue and improve the image realism. So that's all great. But the other thing I want to point out is that it's not like some other imaging manufacturers where they're like, hey, we've invented something, look at me. MicroVision's actually been in the market with laser beam scanning displays and partnered with one of the world's biggest companies to produce the HoloLens 2. So it's proven, it's manufacturable, everybody understands how to make it and how it works. And how to make it and how it works is probably one of the best things about it, because unlike a fixed pixel array, like a micro LED panel that they can't even manufacture at any scale, you just need 1 or 2 MEMS mirrors, depending on the architecture, and 3 laser diodes, and then MicroVision's proprietary drive electronics that make everything happen. So this simplifies the alignment, it simplifies the bill of materials, and it simplifies the entire manufacturing process, which again we talked a lot about in episode 3. The other thing I would point out is that MicroVision is an American company, and they have a full stack laser beam scanning IP and product readiness. So if you're thinking about Meta's approach to this, their approach to this is to first drive out cost in the military vertical, U.S. Department of Defense military, and then bring the product out to consumers afterward. So it stands to reason that they need a domestic partner for defense and consumer dual use applications in spatial computing. The fashion eyewear needs to be integrated with the smallest, lowest power, highest performance display engine possible. Laser beam scanning has already been stated that this is the target. So if you combine Meta with the vision and the financial assets to create this new market, Essilor with the encapsulated waveguide technology, and MicroVision with the laser scanning display engine, you've got something that just might work. So, in conclusion, Meta's strategic investment in Essilor provides them access to the dominant leader in eyewear across lenses, frames, brands, and retail distribution. Any augmented reality wearable without prescription lens support excludes the majority of adults over age 40. It has to accommodate prescription lenses, period. If you imagine, okay, well, just put your prescription lens inside of the display. Now you've got a sort of, weird or nerdy looking thing where the waveguide is here and your prescription lens is inside, and it's going to look silly, especially when Meta and Essilor show you the integrated solution where the waveguide's embedded in the lens. Meta stated laser scanning is their ultimate target. MicroVision is the proven solution for laser scanning technology, and it works great with encapsulated waveguide technology. The reason why this is sort of personal for me is that back about 15, 16 years ago, when I was the product manager for MicroVision's Eyewear, I had the opportunity to talk with the people at Essilor and learn a little bit about their company and what they want to do. And I can tell you that back then, 2010 timeframe, these people saw this entire thing coming. Smart glasses, AR lenses, everything. And they saw it coming, and they recognized their unique position to be able to go and dominate this market the same way that they dominate the AR lens market. And so this has been a long time in coming, and now it's starting to come together in a pretty exciting way. So back around this time, MicroVision had the Spectrum SD 2500 helmet-mounted display. It was a full-color display with optical lens. It was about a little less than an inch thick. And it had the lasers and electronics in a little box that's maybe the size of a lunchbox. And they fed the optical element with a fiber optic cable. So it was an interesting design where the lasers and electronics are here. They're in a box. Then there's the fiber optic cable driving the lasers. And then the MEMS was up here. So essentially you had a sort of, how do you describe it? Modular design where the fiber optic separated the MEMS from the lasers. The thing about this display was it's absolutely beautiful. The quality of the colors and the image was just totally stunning. And then when you turn it off, the little optic was totally clear. So this was the very best thing we had for business development and to engage partners, because they would see it and they would want to get on board with the company. And have some more stories about this particular display and people who've seen it and got excited by it, but we'll talk about Essilor for right now. So we're displaying this at a trade show, and they came around and looked at it and were, just delighted by the quality of the image. So, it didn't take me long to realize that this was the potential opportunity of a lifetime. Here was a small company, MicroVision, with a unique display, and now along comes the #1 market leader in prescription lens technology. Now, this time they had not yet merged with Luxottica, but they were #1 in lenses, which was good enough for me. So this was like my white whale. I wanted this partnership to really happen more than just about anything I've ever wanted professionally. And it was looking promising for a little while. There were some challenges internally between the Eyewear group and the projector in cell phone group, and that made it challenging for me to bring this over the line. Essentially, the Eyewear was the product with the real customer pull. And during the time I was there, I think we generated about $5 million in NRE from various partners, mostly DoD affiliated, to mature the technology and create prototypes and build things out that would, continue demonstrated progress in the laser scanning eyewear technology. So we were bringing in money. The projector and cell phone was like the big opportunity, and that was the opportunity that didn't require any waveguides or any optics apart from the Pico P engine. So it was considered as sort of lower technical risk. But from my perspective, it also had lower user value. And it was evident that it wasn't bringing in the same amount of NRE and customer pull as the eyewear display. So, I've always believed that eyewear displays were where it was at. Anyway, long story short, the company couldn't put together a package that was acceptable to Essilor to work together. And so, the moment passed and it didn't happen. But I have a feeling the moment is coming around again, because for all the reasons I mentioned, there's no more mature laser scanning display provider than MicroVision on Earth. And back then, 15 years ago, we were not dealing with as mature a laser scanning engine as we have today. Now the technology has been proven out in multiple finished goods products. They've already demonstrated the laser scanning engine in the HoloLens 2. They've got this design to miniaturize it for eyewear frame temple. So it's as sort of direct a path as you could ask for something like this at 15 years on. So the benefit of 15 years is you get Moore's law, you get the efficiencies of time all happening. So maybe what's old is new again, and that would certainly be wonderful. I will admit that I'm a little bit sad that I'm not able to participate in this actively, and instead I'm a person sitting on the sidelines with opinions. But the most important thing is that it happens and comes to fruition. So that's what I think about that. Okay, one more offer for you. Laser Roasted is offering a 10% discount on orders of $50 or more. This is my specialty coffee company. Make Mine Laser Roasted. We've got a variety of blends and single origin coffees that are roasted to order. So no more unfresh coffee. Now you get the freshest. And we also have mugs and lifestyle laser roasted branded items and a notebook for you to take notes in. But the real draw is a coffee. You can order this coffee with the discount code MVIS10 and get 10% off. Just use the code MVIS10 at checkout. Try a few different blends or single origin coffees and see which one you like. And then if there's one that you really like, you can then order it on a subscription basis where you can subscribe and save and get 10%, get the coffee delivered every week, every 2 weeks, or every month. And you're going to be in heaven because this stuff is so much better than stale grocery store coffee. You'll never want to drink another stale grocery store coffee again. All right, thanks. Okay, so that's going to do it for this one. I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. Please like, subscribe, add a comment. Let me know what I can do on the next one that would be interesting for you. Really appreciate everybody's positive feedback or even your suggestions for improvement. Definitely big thanks to the people who've ordered on laserroasted.com. It's awesome, and I hope you get a chance to check out the record, midnightlands.bandcamp.com. Okay, see you soon. Bye-bye.